Hello, I hope you're having a great day. In today's video we're going to look at my 5 golden rules on how to get ChatGPT to create code for any bot that you can imagine in Voiceflow. If you're not sure what this video series is about and the challenge that I've set myself, then please look at my first video. The link should be up there, or is it up there? I'm not quite sure. Enough time wasted. It should have taken you no more than 20 minutes to go through the first video and have a quick practice. As you can see, the clock is ticking, so I better get started quickly if I'm going to meet my challenge. So we're just going to go into Voiceflow and create a new assistant. I'm not going to comment on the rest of this. So once we've started it, it brings up a template which we don't really want. So we're just going to go to trackpad mode, delete all of this, and then we'll go back into mouse mode. Just whilst we're building the bot. So this is based on the calendar booking app. So at some point it asks the user to type in a time that they wanted an appointment for. So that's what this is based on. So we'll just put in the text there. Now we go for a captcha. And we're going to create a new variable and call that a time. And then we get the last utterance, and that's what goes in that variable, so whatever the user types. Now we're going to go for a dev and JavaScript, and then we're going to come out of that and go into NLU model and create a variable called btime. So now to introduce you to my 5 golden rules that we're going to deal with. This is what we're going to do with ChatGPT. We're going to be very clear on what we want. So the first thing is we're going to state the input variable name, and we're going to give input examples so that ChatGPT can see what type of input we're going to give it. So here there could be some variation that the person types in. They could type it in O:00 AM, or they could type it in with a full stop instead, or they might even type it in without a space between the number and the AM. We can get ChatGPT to deal with all of those just by putting this now. So the rule 2, we're going to ask GPT to create a JavaScript that, and then we state what we want the code to do. Now it's fairly important that we keep this to only 1 or 2 things. So we've got to plan what 1 or 2 things we want the code to do. And so this is the type of sentence that we give. Create a JavaScript that takes a time, remember that variable that we've already made, whatever its form, so we're giving it 3 forms, and correctly formats it to, and then we give this standard time form, hour, minute, AM, PM. And this is what we want it to do then, add 30 minutes to a time, so it's a 30-minute appointment. On to rule 3, we state what the output variable should be called, and that's really important for non-coders because you'll very easily be able to see where the answer is that you want. And we also need to give it examples of the output. So what result are we wanting? So here we've got it and stores it in a variable called btime. Using those examples that we've given it, an example of the output would be 8:30 a.m. On to rule 4. I'm not going to go talk a lot about this. We simply are asking it not to use function calls. I know it means that we'll get less efficient code, but less efficient code that works is better than really efficient code that doesn't work. On to our last rule. State the output variable, whatever we've called it, should be declared as a var. So in this case, we're going to say btime should be declared as a var, and we'll see later why this is quite important. So here's an example of us putting it all together. Okay, so we've given it an example. We've asked it to create JavaScript. We've shown the format. So we're just going to copy that in and paste it. Now the really eagle-eyed among you will notice that we've left out the 5th rule. And that's so that I can demonstrate what happens if we leave out one of these rules. So there we go. It's done the job for us. We're going to copy that code. And we're going to go back into this JavaScript tester and give the code a bit of a test outside of Voiceflow. Here at the top it's hard coded that a-time variable for us, which is exactly what we want, because we want to be able to test this now. Okay, and this is where it will output the b-time for us. So I'm going to run that and see what result it's come up with. Okay, so we had 8 a.m. It's added 30 minutes, as you can see. Now we need to go back and just give this a bit more of a test, put some different values in, make sure that it's working with different values in, and different the way that we formatted it. So let's put 8:40. Okay, now that's going to have to work out another hour. There we go, 9:10. That's great. That's working fine. Now sometimes I've found that it has problems with noon and midnight. So let's just put a noon. So this is midday, and adding 30 minutes onto midday. And there we go. Yeah, it's still in the PM, so that's fine. And sometimes I found it's got problems with midnight. So let's change this to midnight. Okay, and there we go. It's still in the early hours of the morning. So now let's just try this if we formatted it differently. So we've got a dot there and AM with no space, and we can see it's outputted exactly the same. So that's working fantastic. Now we're going to paste that code into our JavaScript block, and we just need to scroll up to the top, and where it says var a-time, we just need to put the 2 backslashes to comment that out, because we don't want that to be hard coded now. We want it to take that variable from whatever the person types. And now we're just going to go and show the outputs. So we're going to show the original a-time that was typed in, and we're going to show the b-time, which is what the JavaScript works out for us. Right, so we're going to run that code now, give it a test. And so here we're going to put the timing, and the result is 0. What's gone wrong here? Okay, it's not giving us what we want. Let's go look back in the code. Okay, scrolling down, so we can see here that it has used let. So let b time equals, and that's what the problem is. So we're going to change that to a var, just like that fifth rule said that we should have put in. Right, let's try it now. But this time you see it's come up with the correct answer for us. So this is a problem caused by variable scope. So what's variable scope? So let's go to our JavaScript tester, and we've got a very simple thing here. Let x equal 1, let y equal 2, and at the end we output the variables. Okay, let's see what happens when we run this. So 1 is correct, but the next one down, there's nothing there. Y isn't displaying anything. Why is that? Well, it's to do with scope. So here we've got a block of code, and you can have many blocks of code, but this variable only lives within that block of code. It is a lifespan only within that block of code, and that's what scope is. It's, if you like, how long that variable lives for. So let's just put it, our console log in there, so that it prints it whilst it's in within that block code, and there we go, it's printed out correctly. So let only has a lifespan of whatever block of code it's in. Okay, and for Voiceflow we need to change that, and we need to use instead var, which lets it exist or live for longer than just that block of code. So it's actually going to be able to come out of the JavaScript and back into our Voiceflow. So we're just going to put that as it was before and run that, and as you will be able to see, yeah, y has now lived longer. Yeah, it's come out of this code block and still remained a number which we can use. So that was the problem. So we're going to look at some more operators. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one, equals, because we all know what equals means. But I am going to explain a little bit about the color coding, which I may not have done last time. So here the command is in red, the variable name is in blue, and the actual data that we're using is in green. So we're going to go on to this one now. Less than. So this is an operator. It checks to see if one value is smaller than the other. So here we've got a equals 10, and if we were going to use it in a statement, we'd say b equals a, 10, less than 5. So is 10 less than 5? No, it's more than 5, so that is why this would return a Boolean value of false. So b would equal false. Now greater than, that's the opposite. We're comparing to see if one is bigger than the other, so it's 10 again. Is a greater than 5? Yeah, is 10 greater than 5? Yes it is, it's true, so this would return a true. So we use that too for calculations. Now I'm going to call these the comparative operators, but they will be known by other names. And here we've got the equality, so it compares two values to see if they're equal. But this one does not consider data types. What does that mean? Well, it means if we've got some code like this where it says a equals the number 5, and we're asking it to compare, is this string 5 the same as the number 5, then it's going to say yes, it's true, even though it's a string, but it's a string number. Now we've got strict equality, which it not only compares the values, but it must remain the same data type. So take that example that we had, we've got the number 5 and the string number 5. So this would be false, it's not the same, okay? Because it's got to be strictly the same type of data. Here we've got the number 5 and the number 5, so they're equal. So this is really useful when we're doing strings, if we're wanting to find out part of a string, compare it with another one, find out where that string starts, where that string ends. This is a really good way of doing that. So that's what these are used for. So some have mentioned about my last video being a good beginner's guide to JavaScript, but that's not my intention. I'm just trying to teach you enough about coding so that you can understand the code without understanding all the code. Does that make sense? Anyway, I'm just trying to give you a reliable framework that will reduce the problems that you might get. As we've just seen, that you could come across a problem if you didn't use the var rule number 5. Well, that brings us to the end of this video. I hope that you found the explanations simple and that this is very useful for you. In the next video, we're going to look at a few more golden rules and how we can fully test that the code is working as we want it to do. And also, what do we do if GPT has given us code that doesn't actually do what we want it to do? How do we deal with that situation? That's all in the next video. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, or leave a comment, or even a like. And don't forget, if you want access to any of the code that I create in this series, you can sign up on my website and get completely free access to the code so that you yourself can have a play around with it and see how it works and maybe make your own changes. Looking forward to seeing you. Bye bye for now.